Welcome to Wednesday. And it being Wednesday, I know perfectly well what to expect, which is poetry. And I'm sure you remember the book we did last time was Poems from the Sea. Well, this time we're doing from the same series, Poems about Trees. This is part of the Everyman's Library Pocket Poets. It's edited by Harry Thomas, and the preface is by Stanley Plumley. Now, I did a little surfing in the back, and this series is an absolute total hoot. There are more than 50 titles. One that Donna doesn't have, but that I want to read, is Doggerel. Poems about dogs. Now, isn't that intriguing? But there's everything from Four Seasons to motherhood, poems about mothers, Persian poets, poems of New York, Roman poets, 300 Tang poems, villanelles, which is a type of poem, war poems, Zen poems, and today we're doing tree poems. And to begin, White Oaks Ascending. This is by Stanley Plumley, one of the editor actually. In the mind weave, at 1,000, 10,000 feet, they all lean in on one another, snowy, hollow, still, gothic with winter, and the few torn leaves, starved, neutral, back into the spring before this one, the one long since gone black under the ice. Hold on, mark time. They'll fall eventually, once, twice, and turn dark green again, slowly, in detail. And the few songbirds, with their clear glass eyes and heartbreaking voices, stationed out of sight in the high, cold crowns, they'll sing true again and fly and fall to earth a while among the human. And this is promised, too, that the wind left trapped in the blue alleys of the branches will climb and clarify in the still and risen air. Let the stone gods in their fountains turn like clockwork. They're no less rooted in the rain, nor their marble less perfection of the snow. Let the clay gods circle in the fire. The body, piecemeal, falls away. The spirit, in the privacy of dark, sheds all its leaves. I die. I climbed a tree. I sang. Now, D.H. Lawrence has this for us. Letter from town. The almond tree. You promised to send me some violets. Did you forget? White ones and blue ones from under the orchard hedge. Sweet, dark purple and white ones mixed for a pledge. By the way, that's Connor in the back getting our window shield in place. It's a true poetic commentary. Sweet, dark purple and white ones mixed for a pledge of our early love that hardly has opened yet. Here, there's an almond tree. You have never seen such a one in the north. It flowers on the street. And I stand every day by the fence to look up at the flowers that expand at the rest in the blue and wonder what they mean. Under the almond tree, the happy lands of Provence, Japan, and Italy repose. And passing feet are chatter and clapping of those who play around us, country girls clapping their hands. You, my love, the foremost, in a flowered gown, all your unbearable tenderness, you, with the laughter startled upon your eyes, now so wide with hereafter, you, with loose hands of abandonment hanging down. The lemon trees. Hear me a moment. Laureate poets seem to wander among plants no one knows. Boxwood, acanthus, where nothing is alive to touch. I prefer small streets that falter into grassy ditches, where a boy, searching in the sinking puddles, might capture a struggling eel. The little path that winds down along the slope plunges through cane tufts and opens suddenly into the orchard among the moss-green trunks of the lemon trees. Perhaps it is better if the jubilee of small birds dies away, swallowed in the sky, yet more real to one who listens, the murmur of leaves in a breathless, moving air. Oh, the senses are filled with an odor filled with the earth. It is like rain in a troubled breast, sweet as an air that can arrive too suddenly and vanish. A miracle is hushed. All passions are swept aside. Even the poor know that richness, the fragrance of the lemon trees. You realize that in silences things yield and almost betray their ultimate secrets. At times, one half expects to discover an error in nature, the still point of reality, the missing link that will not hold the thread we cannot untangle in order to get at the truth. You look around. Your mind seeks, makes harmonies, falls apart in the perfume, expands when the day wearies away. There are silences in which one watches in every fading human shadow something divine let go. The illusion dies, and in time we return to our noisy cities, where the blue appears only in fragments, high up among the towering shapes. Then rain bleaching the earth. Tedious. Winter burdens the roofs, and light is a miser, the soul bitter. Yet one day, through an open gate, among the green luxuriance of a yard, the yellow lemons fire, and the heart melts, and the golden songs pour into the breast from the raised cornets of the sun. I saw in Louisiana a live oak growing. This by Walt Whitman. I saw in Louisiana a live oak growing. All alone stood it, and the moss hung down from the branches. Without any companion it grew there, uttering joyous leaves of dark green. And its look, rude, unbending, lusty, made me think of myself. But I wonder how it could utter joyous leaves, standing alone there without its friend near, for I could not. And I broke off a twig with a certain number of leaves upon it, and twined around it a little moss, and brought it away. And I have placed it in sight in my room. It is not needed to remind me as of my own dear friends, for I believe lately I think of little else than them. Yet it remains to me a curious token. It makes me think of manly love. For all that, and though the live oak glistens there in Louisiana solitary, in the wide, flat space, uttering joyous leaves all its life, without a friend, a lover near, I know very well I could not. And here another about a different oak, called The Oak. This is by Shu Ting. If I love you, I won't imitate the morning glory, borrowing your high branches to display myself. If I love you, I won't imitate those infatuated birds who repeat their monotonous flattery to the foliage, nor the fountain with its solace of cool waters. I won't even be those background vistas that serve to make you more majestic. Not even sunshine, not even spring rain. No, none of these. I would like to be a kapok tree, standing beside you as an equal, our roots touching underground, our leaves touching in the clouds. And with every gust of wind, we would bow to each other. But no one else understands our language. You have your branches like daggers or swords, while my big red flowers are heavy sighs. Though it seems we are separated forever, we are eternally together. This is great love. This is fidelity. Love, not only for your splendid trunk, but also for the earth you stand on. Jeffrey Brock gives us something a little closer to home. The royal palms of South Florida. They line the streets like stoic palace guards, stripped of all their pomp, or a colonnade of big-haired caryatids with nothing but porches of sky to support. And Tassus gentles each trunk like a slight paunch, and fronds float in the air as a catch of catfish strung to a dock, and forgotten might float ghostly and skeletal after a few days in the intracoastal. They look like local South Americas to renegade parakeets, and their gray trunks are endless lizard skyways, paved with dirty, lichen cement. They could be flagstaffs flying, wind-shredded flags, or extras in a movie about exiled rulers in a dull new world. And just a heads up, I used a word that some of you might not be familiar with, and now I have lost it, but let's see if I can find it in Tassus. What that amounts to, I used to give architectural tours, but have you ever looked at a column? If you see a column and it's straight, you think, well, the sides of it are going up totally vertically. It's perfection. No, there's something in Greek archaeology that tells us that if you want a column to appear straight, you've got to give it a little polish. Because once you've given it that slight outward curve, the eye of the viewer makes a correction and makes what is curved straight. That's your vocabulary lesson for the day. The redwoods. Mountains are moving, rivers are hurrying, but we are still. Oh, we have the thoughts of giants, clouds, and at night, the stars. And we have names, guttural, grotesque, Hammett, Og, names with no syllables, and perish. One by one our roots gnawed by the mice, and fall, and are too slow for death, and change to stone. Or else, too quick, like candles in a fire. Giants are lonely. We have waited long for someone. By our waiting, surely there must be someone at whose touch our boughs would bend, and hands to gather us. A spirit to whom we are light as the hawthorn tree. Oh, if there is a poet, let him come now. We stand at the Pacific like great unmarried girls, turning in our heads the stars and clouds, considering whom to please. And that was by Lewis Simpson. Planting the Alder by Seamus Heaney. For the bark, dulled argent, roundly wrapped and pigeon-collared, for the splitter-splatter guttering, rain-flirt leaves, for the snub and clot of the first green cones, smelted emerald, chlorophyll, for the scut and scant of cones in winter, so rattle-skinned, so fossil brittle, for the alder wood, flame red when torn branch from branch, but mostly for the swinging locks of yellow catkins, planted, stream head in the rain. Not Dead by Robert Graves. Walking through trees to cool my heat and pain, I know that David's with me here again. All that is simple, happy, strong he is. Caressing me, I stroke rough bark of the friendly oak. A brook goes bubbling by. The voice is his. Turf burns with pleasant smoke. I laugh at chaffinch and primroses. All that is simple, happy, strong he is. Over the whole wood in a little while breaks his slow smile. After apple picking. I'll tell you who wrote it when I get to the end, but I'll bet you know after I've said just a couple words. My long two-pointed ladder sticking through a tree toward heaven still. And there's a barrel I didn't fill beside it. And there may be 2 or 3 apples I didn't pick upon some bough. But I am done with apple picking now. Essence of winter, sleep is on the night. The scent of apples, I'm drowsing off. I cannot rub the strangeness from my sight. I got from looking through a pane of glass. I skimmed this morning from the drinking trough and held against the world of hoary grass. It melted, and I let it fall and break. But I was well upon my way to sleep before it fell, and I could tell what form my dreaming was about to take. Magnified apples appear and disappear, stem end and blossom end, and every fleck of russet showing clear. My instep arch not only keeps the ache, it keeps the pressure of a ladder round. I feel the ladder sway as the boughs bend, and I keep hearing from the cellar bin the rumbling sound of load on load of apples coming in. For I have had too much of apple picking. I am overtired of the great harvest I myself desired. There were 10,000 fruit to touch, cherish in hand, lift down, and not let fall, for all that struck the earth, no matter if not bruised or spiked with stubble, went surely to the cider apple heap, as of no worth. One can see what will trouble the sleep of mine, whatever sleep is. Were he not gone, the woodchuck could say whether it's like his long sleep, as I describe its coming on, or just some human sleep. Robert Frost. And I'll bet you knew it. Another from him. Spring pools. These pools that, though in forests, still reflect the total sky almost without defect. And like the flowers beside them, chill and shiver, will, like the flowers beside them, soon be gone. And yet not by any brook or river, but up by roots to bring dark foliage on. The trees that have it in their pent-up buds to darken nature and be summer woods. Let them think twice before they use their powers to blot out and drink up and sweep away these flowery waters and these watery flowers from snow that melted only yesterday. Now, another one from Walt Whitman. Orange buds by mail from Florida. Voltaire closed a famous argument by claiming that a ship of war and the Grand Opera were proofs enough of civilization and France's progress in his day. A lesser proof than old Voltaire's, yet greater proof of this present time. and thee, thy broad expanse, America, to my plain northern hut, in outside clouds and snow, brought safely for 1,000 miles o'er land and tide, some 3 days since, on their own soil, live sprouting, now here their sweetness through my room unfolding, a bunch of orange buds by mail from Florida. Now I'm going to skip to 2 things, provided I can find them. Probably my very favorite, I found it, tree poem by none other than Robert Frost. Birches. When I see birches bend to left and right, across the line of straighter, darker trees, I like to think some boy's been swinging them. But swinging doesn't bend them down to stay. Ice storms do that. Often you must have seen them loaded with ice a sunny winter morning after rain. They click upon themselves as the breeze rises and turn many-colored as the air cracks and crazes their enamel. Soon the sun's warmth makes them shed crystal shells, shattering and avalanching on the snow crust. Such heaps of broken glass to sweep away. You'd think the inner dome of heaven had fallen. They are dragged to the withered bracken by the load, and they seem not to break, though once they are bowed. So low for long, they never right themselves. You may see their trunks arching in the woods, year afterwards, trailing their leaves on the ground like girls on hands and knees that throw their hair before them over their heads to dry in the sun. But I was going to say, when truth broke in with all her matter of fact about the ice storm, I should prefer to have had some boy bend them as he went out and in to fetch the cows. Some boy too far from town to learn baseball, whose only play was what he found himself, summer or winter, and could play alone. One by one he subdued his father's trees by riding them down over and over again until he took the stiffness out of them. And not one but hung limp. Not one was left for him to conquer. He learned all there was to learn about not launching out too soon, and so not carrying the tree away clear to the ground. He always kept his poise to the top branches, climbing carefully with the same pains you use to fill a cup up to the brim and even above the brim. Then he flung outward, feet first, with a swish, kicking his way down through the air to the ground. So was I, once myself, a swinger of birches. And so I dream of going back to be It's when I'm weary of considerations and life is too much like a pathless wood, where your face burns and tickles with the cobwebs broken across it, and one eye is weeping from a twig's having lashed across it open. I'd like to get away from the earth a while, and then come back and begin over. May no fate willfully misunderstand me, and half grant what I wish, and snatch me away not to return. Oh, earth is the right place for love. I don't know where it's likely to go better. I'd like to go by climbing a birch tree and climb branches up a snow-white trunk toward heaven, till the tree could bear no more, but dipped its top and set me down again. Oh, that would be good, both going and coming back. One could do worse than be a swinger of birches. Now I'm going to see if again I can find one last moment. Oh, here it is. I'm going to read two poems, one really short one and one sort of short one. This one is titled, and it's by Alan Duggan, On Trees, Secular Metamorphosis of Joyce Kilmer's Trees. Don't talk to me about trees having branches and root. They are all root, except for the trunk, and the high root, waving its colors in the air, is no less snarled in its food than is the low root, snarled in its specialty, nourishment in dirt. What with the reciprocal fair trade of the trunk, holding the two roots together and apart in equipoise, the whole tree stands in solid connection to its whole self, except for the expendable beauty of its seasonal ends, and is so snarled at either end in its contrary goods that it studs the dirt to the air with its living wood. This anagogic significance grows with its growth for years, twigging in all directions as evidence of entirety, although it waves back and forth and in the wind, and is a host to fungi, insects, men, birds, and the laws of entropy. Now, in conclusion, I've got to read the poem that was referenced in the previous poem, Trees. Let me tell you how honored that poem is. New Jersey highway system actually named one of their rest stops the Joyce Kilmer's stop. And oftentimes when I was driving from Lancaster to business in New York City, whether I had to or not, in deference to Joyce, I would stop at the Joyce Kilmer rest stop and recite by memory, Trees. I think that I shall never see a poem lovely as a tree whose hungry mouth is pressed against the earth's sweet flowing breast, a tree that looks at God all day and lifts her leafy arms to pray, A tree that may in summer wear a nest of robins in her hair, upon whose bosom snow has lain, who ultimately, intimately lives with rain. Poems are made by fools like me, but only God can make a tree. That poem was written in 1914. And by the way, Joyce Kilmer ended his life in France at the end of World War I. He was awarded Le Croix de Guerre, a great award. And with that, we leave trees, and Friday, we've got a different journey ahead of us, a prose journey. Till then, take care.